Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Today, we will be discussing how Clark County Schools is thriving in a remote work environment. They're going to share how they're exceeding expectations and meeting the needs of their community. And I'd like to introduce you to the speakers for today's webinar. Greg Manzi, Director of Student Record Services for Clark County Schools in Las Vegas, Nevada, and Ron Christian, Managing Partner at Scribbles. We're going to start today with Greg. Greg, welcome. We're excited to hear what you have to share with us.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. We definitely appreciate that and hope that in sharing our story today, we're able to help others that may be experiencing some of the similar challenges to us. So I'd like to start, if we go to the next slide, Ron. Just explaining a little bit about the district and the Clark County School District. As the nation's 5th largest school district, serving currently approximately 320,000 students. As you can imagine, we generate a lot of records and a lot of records even for former students. So the picture of that, just trying to encompass what that looks like for a large district and how many requests we could possibly be working with in general in normal operations. The department, if we go to the next slide here, is composed of a staff of about 27 full-time employees. And as a whole, the department is responsible on both the academic and the special education or the confidential record side. We respond to requests from all sorts of customer types, including current or graduating students, as well as former students, corporations doing background checks, post-secondary institutions, and the other entities that are listed up here, as well as K through 12 transfers. Something that's important to note is that this wasn't always our staffing situation, and we haven't always been structured in this way, but with the tools that were provided through Scribbles Software, we were able to make some of this transition and carve out these different areas within the department possible. So we're definitely appreciative of that and some of the tools that we were given. Our next slide here, we move into the state of emergency that happened. So like many districts in the country, and what they're experiencing right now is the school closures. And for us, this started on Sunday, March 15th, when all K through 12 schools were closed. And we know as of now that we're going to be closed at least through April 30th. So for us, this was a bit of a challenge because we went home on Friday thinking we'd be back in the office on Monday. To have that announcement on Sunday, it was quickly about making plans and how we would address some of our customer concerns. So on the next slide, we had two really important questions about what we were going to be doing. So how do we support schools through the closures, and how do we support our customers with the department being closed, so not being able to take face-to-face. So we quickly had to develop a plan in terms of responding to these two key questions. Knowing that there were certain restrictions in the first few days and getting staff together. So the impact it had on our department is kind of outlined here in the 5 steps that we took to convert quickly to a process that exists that's paperless, essentially. So making adjustments to convert staff to be able to work remotely, working telecommuting, ensuring that we had access to certain records and computer resources that we normally have through our daily operations. Notifying our customers that we had paused pickup and mail out requests, and then working through the process of generating e-transcripts and sending documents to customers that are then verifiable on the blockchain, which I think more is going to be talked about that later. So just being able to continue our operations, and one of that is the greatest tools from Scribbles Software there with using Scriborder and some of the integrations with Scrib Online and the archive that we have as well. So one of the key features of Scriborder was for us to put up our vacation notice and let people know how we were going to operate in the suspension of face-to-face services. So including in there are how you place a record request, how to access the order tracker to be able to communicate with our office, and then the ability to verify the credentials once they had received an official document from the department, how they could verify that it was an official document and could be distributed as the customer saw fit. our last piece just to cover, so while overall we've experienced a decline in our typical order volume, we still find it to be impressive that since the closure, we processed over 800 orders for all of our various customer types. So we're still pleased with the process that we're able to put in place and our ability to operate in a paperless format and still serve our customers and address those two questions that we posed earlier in terms of supporting our schools and also supporting former students that need access to their records and their information. So at this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Ron for some of the how-tos in terms of this process that we've implemented.
Great, thank you, Greg. That's a great story, by the way. It's a Cliff Note version of several years, many years of work, right, Greg, putting this whole thing together at Clark County. It's been a fantastic partnership. We've really enjoyed working with Greg and the team over there, Sandy, everyone who worked so hard to serve students, which is really what we're all about as a company as well, helping you serve your communities. So with that, one of the things that we emphasized and Greg emphasized is the printing aspect of it. So with a closed office, one of the things that we're finding and talking to all of you on the phone today is, you know, you're working from home, you're working from a spare bedroom, you weren't planning on this. It was a Friday, and next thing you know, you can't go to work on a Monday. You don't have the ability to print, but yet you still need to serve students who are trying to get in college and trying to get a job or the military. So how are we going to get that done? So I'm going to get behind the scenes a little bit to show you how it works, right? So I say no printer, no problem. Just much like Greg has talked about with Clark County, you don't need a printer to send an official document to a student or to a college university. You can do it all through Scribbles Software. Okay, so first of all, when we send electronic records, there's a couple things that happen. We provided 3 ways for you to get the record electronic. Number 1, you can print a scrib order. So that could be from any application. So rather than printing to your printer, you merely print to the scrib order driver, which again, it could be from your student information system, it could be from another document management system, could be from really a file share somewhere out there. If you can print to a printer, you can print a scrib order to prepare that record to be sent electronically. The key word there is to prepare the record, okay? You can also upload a record. So let's say you download a file from SIS, you could upload that right into the scrib order as if it were printed. And you can also drag and drop that same file, should you wish, to scrib order to send it just like you would with an upload. So we give you a lot of ways to get that document prepared to be sent electronically. What that does is it creates a PDF within the application, preparing it to be signed and sent by you to the requester of that information. Now that requester or that recipient could be a college university, it could be the military, it could be a law firm, it might be the student. And maybe your policy states that you do not send official transcripts to students in the paper world, so you want to send it unofficial. Well, you can also have the ability configurably to turn on sending unofficial to applicants such as students. Okay, so with that, we say it's more secure than paper, and it truly is. Greg is sending things now using our e-transcript system to both applicants being students or maybe to that third party with the proper signed release, of course, following FERPA guidelines. But we say it's more secure, it truly is. Number 1, everything we do in Scribbles in terms of document protection is encrypted using an AES 256-bit encryption, which basically means it's tamper-proof, right? So if you hacked into the system, you wouldn't get to those transcripts regardless, right? And you would be able to read that information because it's protected. Number 2, we do everything when we send the document. As we prepared it, we send it and sign it using a third-party signature authority called Global Sign. And what that does, it creates a blue ribbon certificate on that document, so that PDF becomes an unaltered, verifiable transcript that is sent then to the recipient of that information, be that a college, university, or an individual. Furthermore, we digitally sign it with your seal or your logo with a cover sheet that is on the transcript itself as a page and coincides with that transcript to say exactly what it is, who it was signed by, both the user ID and your digital certificate, as well as we put your seal on there for you. Okay, so more secure than paper, this electronic record. And then don't be scared by this. The Scribbles blockchain, Greg touched upon that. Everything we do in terms of signing and sending in securely is looking at the security of that record to make sure that it's an authentic record that is secured, sent to the person that needs to receive that. So what the Scribbles blockchain does is it provides a secure digital record of the student record creation, the ownership and the validity of that record. Okay, this is much more secure than paper or the old way of storing a record in a database. Because of the way the blockchain is set up, it's much more secure than even a normal database. It'll also allow and position, this is an important piece, it positions the student and you to be able to provide that student access to their own record so they could have control of it, right? So everything we do in the Scribbles world today, when we send electronic transcript, not only are we sending that certified PDF transcript, but we're also putting that transcript in the transaction and logging the transaction in the blockchain. So what it does is it allows a college, university, or a third party to have one other layer of validation that that record is authentic. And I'm going to show you how it works. Okay, we're going to have another session on blockchain, I believe in 2 weeks. I believe, Bridget, 2 weeks, we're going to have getting into the weeds a little bit on blockchain, exactly what it is. But this is the first taste of it, if you will, on how we're able to send records electronically to those individuals. Okay, so I'll get into a demonstration. Got to get out of here. All right. So this little screen should look familiar to everyone. This is a demo site of Scrib Order. And I put together and sent my own request out right now. So I simply grab the order like I normally would. Right? So when I grab the order, it's going to be presented and I can look at the information and where to send it to. All right. So you can see they're looking for an official transcript to be sent to the University of Hawaii. And I'd also like to take this time to welcome aloha to all of our friends from Hawaii who are joining today. We appreciate you attending at 8:12 in the morning. So thank you for attending. So we're sending it to the University of Hawaii as well as to an individual. I want my transcript as well. Okay. So when we look at it, you notice that the University of Hawaii has a green leaf there. That means they're a part of our e-transcript network. We have over 6,500 college universities in our e-transcript record, or e-transcript network, excuse me, meaning that they will accept all of our transcripts and have an application to download mass quantities of our transcripts electronically every day. Okay. I can also send it to the individual. Now, in the old world, before the crisis happened and our offices were shut down, we might come in here and print an envelope, stuff the envelope, and get it off in the mail. But that's not available today, as Greg has said. Our office is shut down. So what are we going to do? So I go through and I'm going to send that document electronically. Right. Now, as I said before, there's a couple of different ways to send that document electronically. If we scroll down, you can see e-document delivery. Now, the one thing I want to point out, it is a certified PDF transcript acceptable by 6,500 college universities across the country. However, it's also a document delivery. So any type of document, a complete cumulative file, could be sent certified through the system as well. It does not have to be just a transcript. It could be scholarship information. It could be letters of recommendation. It could be information on your school itself, disciplinary records. It could be anything you'd like to send it electronically. We're going to send it the same method. Okay. So I'll go through and look at how do we get information into the system. As I said before, I can go take a transcript and I can drag and drop to it to upload it, right? So I can upload that transcript, or I can come in, I can say I would like to add it from a file. So I can go through and add that from a file somewhere, should we wish. Or I can go in and look at that record and say, you know, here's just a sample transcript that we're sending, one-page transcript. This is not a certified document. It's just a piece of paper. It happens to be a PDF. Or I can just print to it. When I go to printer, rather than printing it to my LaserJet, I simply print it to Scrib Order, which will attach it to the order itself. Okay, so that could be anything that I wanted to print to. Again, what's important to point out here is the transcript itself. You'll notice it's just one piece of paper today. All right. Now, when I send that sample transcript, I have the ability to send it to the University of Hawaii, And configurably within script order, we can send it to the applicant as an official transcript or an unofficial transcript. Now, when I send it as an unofficial, maybe that's your policy and procedure. You don't want to send an official to the applicant. So what it does instead is it puts information on the transcript that says, hey, this is an unofficial transcript. If it's printed off, they can't get the unofficial off of it. So even if that's your policy that says we only send unofficial transcripts to individuals, we can get that job done for you as well. Okay. All right. So when we go through that, once it's sent, what happens is I want to send to the University of Hawaii. I send the link. They will receive email notifications. This is important. We never email transcript. That is a FERPA violation. We wouldn't do that. Instead, we email notifications that there's a transcript waiting to be downloaded to the college or university. They will then log into the system and download the transcripts that are available to them. Okay? So when I go through and I click on the information, you can see as the person requesting that record, right? It's been signed and sent. I have approved the record and I am sending it to the applicant. It's going to send them the information, letting them know how to download that record now, right? So much like we do in the world of concerts and sporting events where we order something through StubHub maybe, we're going to have a very similar type of a process here. I will go in and look at the information, and I will be presented with notification that I have a transcript to download. So notice there's no attachments. It's just a link that will expire to an application. So I can come in here and I can request a code, or it'll send it to me automatically. And you can see I have a validation code that is waiting for me, all right? So I simply take that validation code. Again, it's a two-step process to make sure it's secure. And I put the code in and I verify that information. Once it's verified, I may now download that record. You can see that information. Remember, that was a one-page transcript, right? When you look at the transcript today, it is now shown that it's signed, sealed, and delivered by me, right? Ron Krishna at scribsoft.com, digitally signed by me with my Scribbles seal, right? I may now download that record. I'll put RKC just so I can recognize it. And I have that information there. Now you look at it and say, well, what am I going to do with that record? Well, that student can do a lot of different things with that record. If they have access to where they're applying to college and they could upload that record to an application maybe within the school itself, the college university itself, could send it to a military recruiter, a third-party person to get a job. And then they can validate that record simply by looking at the information, right? We can send them the information to validate that record. Right. So when I look at it, we have a credential application that we can use to validate that record. When I click on it and I go to validate the record, remember the sample transcript right here, this is only one piece of paper, right? The same transcript, but it has not been sent to the blockchain. It has not been digitally signed. It does not have the blue ribbon seal, right? When I drag it on here, it's going to verify the file and say it's an invalid record, meaning it has not been certified by us as a valid record. It's not on the blockchain, and it certainly has not been digitally signed. All right. Now I can do the same thing. I can look at it and say the one I just sent here, RKC, same record, but you notice here it's got a blue ribbon, which means it's been digitally signed and it's unalterable. It's an authentic record, right? It also has the cover sheet with my digital certificate. And I can then drag and drop that in here and verify the record and see, hey, that record has been verified and it is all ready to go. Now, that feature functionality that I just showed you, that Clark County is using today, right? All that functionality is available to you. There's no cost for that. It's already there today. So we would like to get you set up, just like we're doing with Clark County today, get you set up so you can process things electronically, removing the need to print, okay? And with that, Bridget, I'd like to turn it over to you to see if we can answer some questions.
All right, perfect. Yeah, I see that we have some time, and that's great because we do have some questions coming in from people. Greg and Ron, I'm going to pose the questions and hope that you guys can both answer them. Are you guys ready?
We'll do our best, right, Greg? Greg has all the answers,
Yep.
don't you, Greg?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so you were talking about this is free, this is, you know, we just want to get you set up. So how can people get more information? I guess that would be a question for Ron.
Oh, great. So if you want, I think the best way to do it so we keep things organized is to email support@scribsoft.com and letting them know that you would like to be able to send records electronically. We're doing this really fast and furious all day. We've set up almost every one of you, every one of our clients now is online with this. So but really the best way to do it is to send an email to support@scribsoft.com, letting them know that you want to get set up with a paperless or you don't have the ability to print. Just send it to support. We'll get to the right channel. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. Greg, how has your community responded to the new way of processing records?
So our community has been receptive to this new way of getting the records. We work really closely with our partners, some of the people that we hear from on a regular basis, to ensure that they understand the process and know the different features that are available to them. And actually, we're way more efficient by processing this way, so they definitely appreciate the speed at which we can process requests and get back to them.
Okay, so this is something that you will continue to do regardless of when things go back to quote unquote normal.
Right. I think we're looking at, really enhancing the way that we do paperless delivery of documents, and probably really limiting our face-to-face contact and what we do in terms of mail out, and try to be, more responsive and just operate more efficiently and really secure the documents by using the electronic release instead.
Okay, great. Ron, can you tell us a little bit more about the security around the features that you were talking about? I know there's, some acronyms like SOC 2 and things like that that are really important, but what does that all mean?
Yeah, we throw a lot of acronyms around, right? Like AES 256-bit encryption, it's the Department of Defense encryption algorithm, basically, that encrypts a document. Right? It's a common one used in document management. Everything we do in document management world is encrypted. We follow a Department of Defense standard there. We figure if it's good enough for national security, it's probably good enough for student records, right? The other one you just mentioned was SOC 2. So what we do is we run and have run Scribbles through a SOC 2 audit, which means we have a third party that reviews our people, our process, and our technology to take a look at not only our software, but how we're actually using our software. Do we have the proper policies in place for like data protection and information classification, and in the event, knock on wood, a breach or something, what is our policy and procedure there? So yes, SOC 2, that's what that really pertains to. The blue ribbon certificate, it's really a standard. It's an Adobe standard. So what it does is basically it certifies it and knows a college university comes through and says, hey, if it's signed in these parameters, if it's blue ribbon, if it is coming through an app and not emailed, there's different parameters that they look at to say, yes, we'll take that as a certified PDF transcript. So yeah, there's a lot of acronyms that are being thrown around for sure. We're going to get into acronyms in 2 weeks in the blockchain breakout, the next webinar in 2 weeks from now that we're going to be doing. We'll get more in depth certainly in that.
Okay, perfect.
So I hope that answered it, Bridget. If not, I'll expand upon that.
No, I think that did. I was going to ask about the webinar in 2 weeks on blockchain, but you just answered that question as well. So that one will be in 2 weeks. And then next week, we will be talking with Harnett County about Harnett County Schools in North Carolina about their use of Scribbles products and how they're using the products in a remote environment as well. Okay, let's see. I think I did have another question I wanted to ask. This is from Paula Lee, and Paula is asking, do records have to be requested through Scribsoft to be sent through Scribsoft? Does the district have to have an account?
Yeah, I'll take that one, Greg. No, you don't have to have an account to request it. So I believe we're talking about K-12 transfer there, which is a school-to-school record request and fulfillment. So at Clark County, for example, you could be a student, current student, a former student, a corporation requesting verification of graduation, or in fact, a student that has left Clark County and moved into maybe your county. When you request it, the requesting school does not need to have an account or have Scrib order to request that. They can go into that application, that transfer application, to request that record from Clark County. So no, you don't necessarily have to have Scrib order to request records.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ron and Greg, for all that you shared with us today. Greg, we are especially impressed with your team and how quickly you are all able to mobilize in this changing environment. So we thank you for your time, ideas, solutions, and we hope you stay well, and we look forward to talking with you again soon. I hope you all can tune in next week to our Thursday webinar at 2 o'clock Eastern time, and we'll share some more great stories and solutions with you.
Bridget, I just had one more question come through that was, if this will be available to attendees. Yes. Will we make that available to everyone?
Yeah, that will be available today, probably within 30 minutes. It just has to download, and we will upload it to our YouTube channel, and I'll send out that link to everybody that's on the webinar today.
Thank you, Bridget. Sure appreciate it. And Greg, thank you as always. You're fantastic at your job, and to everyone at Clark County, because there's other people than you we know that make this whole thing sing, and you guys are doing an awesome job. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity, and hope you guys talk to you soon.
All right. Bye now.
Thank you.